I feel so far away from you. I know we just met, but I feel like, yeah.
Attention students, welcome to summer school in Seoul, Korea, where you will learn about your heritage and make friends from around the world.
Hi, I'm Sergio from Mexico.
Sid.
See?
Sid, S-I-D.
I'm Klaus Kim.
Klaus?
I'm from Hamburg.
I have a really important question. Where are the señoritas?
Girls ready to party or what?
Should bring the booze, said Muffin. Yeah, we're ready.
Yo, how you guys party with the ladies last night?
Crazy party.
Drink up, Mr. Vicious.
Looks like the Korean version of Robert Palmer.
I want to eat it.
Daría lo que fuera para lamer cada parte de tu cuerpo.
Do you speak any Korean to your parents?
No, I'm adopted.
I fight her?
Don't tell me you're afraid to fight a girl.
What's your problem?
I know what my problem is. Everyone knows what happened between you and Grace last night.
I just feel really uncomfortable right now.
I read that you had actually, while you were a junior at USC, participated in a foreign exchange program
Yeah, I did,
in
actually,
Korea.
yeah.
Was that something? Was that experience something you were able to bring to your role in this movie at all?
Absolutely. A lot of the things that happened in the movie, I could directly draw from that experience. You know, even just in terms of like culture shock and growing up in Orange County, and then experience that sort of cultural divide was very present. You know, even like in terms of that club scene where we're all getting like slapped and stuff, like that kind of stuff happens all the time, especially during that era in the late 90s, early 2000s. And so yeah, I experienced some stuff that the movie actually dealt with.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. And then because basically you're a child of the 80s as well. You were born in 81.
Yes. Yeah.
Any of your personal experience from the 80s you were able to put in this role as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. Just in terms of like how glossy everything was in a way, and but mostly like the experience of the difference between the time then and the time now, because now with the internet and the plethora of information that's so accessible, it's just different how people operated back in the 80s. You know, there was less information, so you had an idea of what you should kind of be or what you want to be, and it's more of like a persona rather than like, informed decisions. And that I felt created more of an innocence back then, where it was you really didn't, you had an idea of stuff, but you didn't really know what it was like to be a punk rocker. And you would go to the shows or whatever, and you would do this thing, but you just would look at other people and sort of act accordingly. And now you can actually, with the internet, you can actually see people's daily lives and what they do. It's just so much more informed. So that aspect of it, the innocence, is what I really, me growing up in the 80s, what I took from and put into this movie.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, the soundtrack is great. I mean, there's a lot of great songs that we all recognize from the 80s. Were there any songs that you wanted the director to include at all?
I really loved Aha's Take On Me, and I wish that was somehow incorporated, but music is expensive for movies, and especially for the budget of this movie, I'm even surprised how much they were able to get in.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, the budget for this movie was like, I think, $2 million something.
Yeah, something like that, when everything's said and done. Yeah.
Yeah, and Benson Lee, the director, apparently it took 16 years for him to get this movie made, which is amazing. So yeah, and I mean, the thing I loved about your performance and Jessica's as well is that your characters start off looking like the celebrities or singers they're big fans of, completely forsaking their own identity. But the process of this movie goes on, the both of you are looking inward more, and you start to unveil what's underneath all the makeup and all the disguise.
Yes.
How challenging was that for you?
I mean, it was definitely by design. you know, in terms of even with my character, the way the hair was changing throughout the movie was, you know, when you first see me, it's like the strongest, and it starts to soften. And but in terms of challenging, I mean, you know, it was just work. Like, you just work it out, and it was fun to explore those things. And as an actor, that's what you love to do, is take a character and have like an arc, a full arc, and make them like living, breathing characters instead of just facades and stereotypes. So
Yeah.
it was very enjoyable to be able to craft something like that, and you don't get to always do that in movies.
That's true. I mean, your character at first when you see him is kind of the stereotypical bad kid.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he's Korean is beside the point, because we see this in a lot of movies of characters who are just like, you know, troubled kids, but we see quickly that there's more to him than meets the eye.
Yeah, yeah. That's my favorite, you know, in terms of as an actor. When I have the opportunity to do roles that are transformative but in subtle ways, I love that. You know, there's transformation in very like overt ways. And this role had a little bit of that, but in terms of the emotionality of the character, that's always like a huge treat.
Yeah, it is, absolutely, I agree. And the repertoire you and Jessica have with the rest of the cast is great, because, I mean, you really just look like you got along great throughout filming.
Yeah.
And was that something you worked on before the camera started rolling, or did that just occur during shooting?
Funny enough, with Jessica at least, I've known her for a long time. She actually, I had an ex-girlfriend, they went to the same high school together, and so even before we were working actors, I had known of her. And so, you know, with Jessica, it wasn't that difficult to have that rapport. But with the other actors, we spent some time together. Like, we had like about a week of rehearsal, and you know, when we were rehearsing, we were trying to spend as much time together and get to know each other. So it was built in a little bit. But you know, with the nature of indie film, like, you just kind of just run and gun sometimes. So.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like you have to do what you can with the time you have.
Yeah.
And it's always tricky in any low budget movie, for sure. And was there anything about the script that really surprised you, or that you didn't see coming?
Well, I would say, like, when you do these kind of movies, you don't know how much of like a fully realized the characters will be, kind of, you know, especially with indie film, it's kind of a crapshoot sometimes. I was really surprised how Benson was able to humanize all the characters by the end, and that was probably my biggest surprise, and is frankly the reason why I did the movie. And also, you know, the main reason I did the movie was because of that scene between me and the teacher. We're talking about the fathers and kind of exposing what's underneath everything, and you don't always get to do that in films, to have scenes like that. So it was sort of cathartic, and also as an actor very fulfilling to be able to act one of those scenes. It's like the type of scene you do in acting class all the time, but in terms of your professional career, it's not always the scenes that you get to actually do. So
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And that is a great scene, because it's sort of like, I mean, before that we see that the teacher is very troubled, has his own problems, and it sort of brings the you know, your characters, the adults and the kids, down to the same level, because they're dealing with stuff, and you know, they're, you know, rebelling against a system that isn't really, you know, seeing right through them or helping them the way they want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a great moment, because it's like when the movie starts, you think you know where it's gonna go, but the journey it takes is so immersive that you just sort of let yourself go and go along for the ride.
Yeah, because, you know, did you feel that the movie was going to be more of like this comedic American Pie kind of thing throughout?
I felt it was going to be a lot more like The Breakfast Club, and clearly that's a big homage on this movie, but at the same time it manages to find its own voice.
Yeah.
And that's what I like, because the poster, of course, is
an actual, like, direct Breakfast Club.
Direct Breakfast Club reference, but it's not just like a bunch of kids in detention at all, which, you know, would have been way too obvious, but it's more about how they evolve and how the cultures. I mean, the other thing is that the universality of the characters is great. The problems they go through are what anybody else goes through.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that's sort of like, I mean, it's great to have sort of like one perspective, the Korean perspective, but after a while, it's like anybody goes through these same problems.
And I think that's a strength of the movie and why it is a great movie. Yeah.
Absolutely, because and just there are other great moments throughout, and that I mean, the scene you have with going back to the scene you have with the teacher, it's great because both of you reach a very raw emotional point.
Yes.
And how hard was that to get?
I mean, you know, as an actor, like you hope to do scenes like that, so it wasn't too hard. It was just prep. Like I did a bunch of prep in the moment. Like I just had to, you know, because you know the thing about shooting films is, you know, it's a minute of the film, but like when you're actually shooting it, it's like half a day. So you have to know when to turn it on and off, and that's all preparation. And so, I mean, it's difficult in a way to prepare, but in a way it's like what we do as actors, and
right,
and it's absolutely fulfilling. So
yeah, I mean, it's tricky. I keep hearing that, you know, to do those emotional scenes, you almost have to be really relaxed in a way.
Yes, because if you're forcing it, it's just then it looks like you're trying to force emotion or acting, and it's not what you want. And yeah, but it was great because, you know, I really loved working opposite In-pyo, and it wasn't too difficult once we got in the scene because, you know, we were actually talking, and it was very seamless.
It looks seamless, yeah. And it's just, it's a great point because the camera never lies.
Yeah.
It catches you when you're faking something. And there's never a faked emotion in this movie throughout. And that's a compliment to you and the rest of the cast.
Yeah, I think everybody does a wonderful job.
Great. And what do you hope people get most from this movie?
The biggest thing is that it's not just an Asian American movie or Asian movie in general. It's like, you know, it's told, and I think that's the strength of it, and why by design there's a Korean German, a Korean a Mexican guy, and a Korean American as the three mains, because it's at first it is a glimpse into the Asian foreigner teenage life, but then when you really watch it, it's any teenager's life, and I hope that that's what they get out of this, and hopefully why they will give this film a chance, and just to have an open mind, and it just opens the spectrum of like people's perception and thought of, you know, diversity, and in this world I think it's something very important.
That's well said, yeah, because that's the great thing about the movie is that it's not just an Asian American movie.
Yeah.
It's a lot more universal than that.
Yes, absolutely.
So hopefully people will get that.
Yeah, just give it a shot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is it true that you've been telling everybody?
Get out of my face.
Do you have any memories of your natural parents?
My mother.
Have you thought about finding her?
See, put your foot down.
No.
If you get jumped, all you need to do is holler. We'll whoop that bitch's ass if you give us $20.
In a weird way, Mr. Kim reminds me of my dad.
Does Sid have a girlfriend?
Grace, I don't have the same problem that Sid does.
Stop.
Hey, buddy. Why do you hate me so much?
Why don't you tell me about your father?
Why?
I'd like to try to understand you.
There's so much I want to say to you, but I can't seem to find the right words to say it.
Take it easy on yourself. Can't always be around to save your ass.
Sergio, a dream about beautiful girl. Hey, tranquilo. Let's celebrate our destiny.